way too much. I like, so I, decided maybe I could do a blog or something and write about something. And a friend suggested to me, because I had just written a children's book. Well, she was like, "You're really into children's books. Like, why don't you blog about your children's books?" And I was like, oh,
I can do that. Yeah. Something I like.
So, yes. So, I pick definitely, social justice books, socially conscious books.
Her books are all of various authors, like all kind of topics.
All kinds of topics. Low self-esteem, like neurodivergent behavior, economic inequality, homelessness, selflessness. There's this Melissa Parkington's beautiful, beautiful hair, where there's this girl, she's got this beautiful long hair, and everyone's always talking about her hair, and she gets sick of it because she wants to be something more
than her hair,
and she ends up donating it. And just like these amazing books. And to talk about there's the homeless book. It's Fly Away Home. It's about a dad and a son living in an airport, and how they have a luggage, and they disguise themselves as passengers, and they wash in the bathroom, and they eat, from the airport diner, and how there's this entire community of homeless people living in airports. Yeah. And so I don't know. I needed my girls to know all this stuff that I know, and hopefully motivate them to engage, right? Because they're privileged children. Yeah. And so I feel like they have an obligation to get in it, to participate. Which, they do. They have been raised on these books and these stories, and we talk about this stuff at dinner and in the car and all the time. And, some people are like, you're so heavy with your kids. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like my kids are interested in these topics. My kids are the kids, especially my little one, who, if, there's a new kid, or there's a kid that's not feeling well or feeling left out or whatever, she's there with them, next to them. They're connected with the humans around them in a meaningful way. And I feel like that's part of, how they were made, and also part of our family's values and the stuff that we talk about all the time.
And I think it's interesting that it's a different take on children's books. I mean, you're so far ahead of Three Little Pigs, right? Winnie the Pooh,
right?
So I want you guys to understand that she's reviewing books that are on a child's level, picture books, but there's a social meaning that's coming across through each of these books.
Right.
So funny, she brought in a couple books into the studio today. She brought one that she authored, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But then she brought in another one,
Ada Twist,
Scientist, and it's a story about an African American girl who wants to be a scientist and has all these questions. Yeah. And that's me as a kid. Yeah. And I think it's cool because it would have been nice to have something along those lines. Right. Because a lot of times what happens is when you don't have access to stuff that you can read, then you do have to kind of go out in the community, find mentors and all that stuff. But what you're doing right now is you're kind of ahead of the game in terms of exposing your kids to some issues that they may encounter, but on a level that they'll understand even before they're actually maybe encounter it.
Yeah.
So it's ahead of the game, and it's all on their level. And I love the name of your blog. And now, before I was like, Caroline, I'm like, I was going to ask you, like, that name. It never dawned on me that it actually meant because you were writing these reviews in a Caroline. Right. I thought maybe it was somebody's name. And I was going to think, who is Caroline?
Yeah. So when people message me or video about me, they're like, I got a book from Caroline today.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carlene.
You think it's a person's name, but that's brilliant. It's because she literally writes these reviews while she's waiting in the car line. So I don't know if that speaks more to the inefficient way of our car line structure or not. But whatever way, it works. It works.
Yeah.
So if you guys, we're gonna give you information on how to contact her, and if you want to see some of these reviews and some of these books that she's talking about, I'm going to give you access to that. But before we do that, I want her to talk a little bit about the book that she authored.
Yes, and I want to read this one thing from Latina Parenting.
Okay.
Which I follow on Instagram. It's Latina, but with an X. So LATINX Parenting. And it says, because people have asked me before, well, you don't do anything now,
You don't do anything.
I'm not engaged. Oh. You have all your needs met, your life is set, you're not You're not in the community trying to make any changes. And again, that's when you suffer from, I know I don't look sick because it's an invisible illness. You know, people don't understand. But I do always come out with this saying that I heard, that I read from Latina Parenting, which is parenting can be a form of activism, the expression of our fight for social justice and human rights, the intentional ripple of love we send out into the world in an effort to put an end to a violent, dominant paradigm. And I'm like, yes, parenting is activism.
Yes,
if people all raise their children to be socially conscious, you know, I feel like we wouldn't have a lot of the problems that we have. So I always have to say, especially now, I get really defensive for stay-at-home moms. If we're putting our hearts and souls into raising these children to be good humans that are engaged with their communities, that's a form of activism.
That's absolutely, because you are basically creating the next generation who's going to be interacting with each other. So that's absolutely important.
Yes.
So let's talk about the book quickly, a couple minutes, and the inspiration for it, the setting, and all the good things. Another form of activism in the form of a children's book.
Yes. So I was turning like 44, and I didn't have Carline Picks, which just kind of really breathed new life into me. And I just was feeling, you know, like not of any value at all. And, you know, my husband was, you know, try yoga, try this, try that. And I ended up going with a friend to Costa Rica to study yoga for 2 weeks in this super intense setting. It was a eco resort, but it was like, you know, there's no air conditioning, there's no hot water, there's no cold water, you're like in the rainforest, you have your flashlight, you're walking home, the howler monkeys are growling, like,
the howler monkeys,
you know, I mean, it's amazing, but it was amazing. You know, and it was the YTT training that you normally, it's 200 hours, and we squeezed it into 2 weeks, so it was, you know.
So are you a teacher now?
Certified? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't teach,
but you are certified.
But I feel like I have a better understanding of yoga. So especially the sutras, which like that was what I was really into, were the sutras of Patanjali, the sort of the philosophy. And so I just, you know, had all these ideas of these animals that were there and these beautiful people, women from all over the world that were there. And when we were there, we actually, we were on the beach, and we were kind of all of us trying to process stuff that we were trying to leave behind so we could come to Costa Rica and like shake the stuff that was weighing us down and go back. And we were on the beach doing this sort of ritual, and we saw a young man get pulled out by a riptide, and we tried to make a human chain to get to him, but it was like really angry water, and he drowned in front of us, which was like really intense. But the girl that I was there, she's a surgical technician, and we were running along the beach, and we ended up finding his body, and she worked on him for half an hour, and and his pulse came back a half an hour later, which, and we were all, praying to whoever you wanted to pray to. Like, there were 30,
somebody was being prayed to.
There were 30 women, 30 people. And we did not let go, made a circle, you know, but that was like a really intense experience. And, you know, the young man was in a coma for 2 weeks, and he came out and he had no brain damage. He was completely fine. Yes.
That is a life-changing experience.
It was a life-changing experience.
And be a part of.
Yes, and for my faith, it was reaffirming, because I feel like I was just kind of in a dark period, and just feeling like, you know, God, you know, whatever people call it, God, universe, spirituality, like, was going, wake up, like, you know, you need to be connected, like, to something that's bigger than you. So I felt this inspiration, and I thought, I'm going to write this book. And so I did. I wrote, there are 3 stories. They're kind of long. They're like introduction to chapters, like a chapter book for children. And the first one is a little boy, Sebastian, which was the name of the young man that we saw and helped. And I kind of mixed up, you know, Sebastian and my grandmother, who helped raise me. You know, she was a physician in Serbia, and a World War II vet. Like, she had no toes. She had a bullet wound. She was just, you know, like a really tough woman, but very loving. And she instilled a lot of the values that I have. So I had her in the story. And I built it around the Yoga Sutra of don't be attached to the fruits of your labor. So, you know, this little boy, he plants a banana plant, and he gets really greedy and wants them all and doesn't want to share. So it's it's a story about community, and you need to share the fruits of your labor.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I used red bananas because there was just one day I was so starving because we were eating like vegan that we had a mini break, and I was walking through the rainforest, and I saw a bunch of red bananas, and I was like, I've never seen a red banana. I don't know if it's poisonous or not.
I'm going for it.
I'm going to eat it.
I'm going for it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So that epiphany and that seeing that life-changing experience is what brought you to that chapter book for kids.
Yeah.
And that was released. When was the book released?
November 26th.
November 26th.
Yeah.
So it's just released here. Yeah. And you can still purchase this book.
Yeah, it's
right?
on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Barnes & Noble.
And it's Firu, Firu, F-I-R-U
apostrophe S Forest. Yeah. And Firu is the dog, the village dog that lived there where we were.
The actual dog.
The actual dog.
Okay.
And like the day that thing happened on the beach, he stood at my door the whole night because I was the one that saw the young man because we all had our eyes closed, and I don't know if I have like ADHD or something, but I was like, I can't keep my eyes closed right now, and I opened them and I saw him. So I was super freaked out. So this dog was there, and there were all these like very big emotional things going on, and I weave them all into these stories.
Into the story. So that's amazing. So I think we need to. I guess we have only a few more minutes left, but I want to make sure that you guys know where you can reach Janice Shelton and possibly get this book. We already mentioned that it's on Amazon. Yeah. And if you want to present to your children or some kids that you need to be more socially aware and socially conscious, I think this book will be a good starter, as well as some of the books that she reviews. And you can find those books. She has an Instagram page, which is @Carline, CARLINE Picks, PICKS. She's also located on Facebook, Carline Picks. And her email is jshelton, JSHELTON11@gmail.com. I can't say how much I appreciate you coming here, sharing your story. And I think it was a perfect start to Women's History Month and the reboot of the Pink Powerhouse Show. Because as women, as moms, it is absolutely our responsibility to raise socially aware, conscious, and yet productive children. Yes. So thank you for sharing your story and your talents.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for sharing how you were able to weave all your life experiences in something that's bigger than you. And we wish you continued success, and we're waiting on the next book.
Thank you.
Well, that's all for us. Hope you enjoyed this first show for the reboot of the Pink Powerhouse Show. If you missed any parts of this show, you can find the show in its entirety at societybites.com or the pinkpowerhouse.com. pinkpowerhouse.com. And in the meantime, until you hear from us again, stay safe, happy, and loving. Bye-bye.
Dance, laugh, sing, play.